This one's going to be a long one. Strap yourself in. Yes, it is I, Notes, and I speak for the music. Those songs that were lost in the shuffle. I'm not going to rhyme because I'm not that great, but enjoy your time with me, and here we go to dive in. So, you know and I know that I love soundtracks for music. I feel like the musical soundtrack, as well as the actual songs that are presented in a movie, are very important in the overall structure of a film. And in my opinion, music is very, very important to a movie, and in some respects can even make or break a movie. Just look at some of Kubrick's amazing works and try to suss out the music, and would it really have the same impact? Or even with Hitchcock. Or, to use a modern example, Edgar Wright with some of his fantastic movies such as Scott Pilgrim and the latest one of Baby Driver. But we also know that as much as music can elevate a movie, it can also kind of work to its detriment. And this is one of the topics that I want to talk about today, where I'm analyzing one particular piece of music and what could have been great about it within the context of the movie. Let's dive in.
How bad can I be? I'm just doing what comes naturally. Because I'm figuring out bigger.
We can all admit that Dr. Seuss's movies made recently have, well, not done as well as we had hoped considering the source material.
But what would I wear?
I'll admit, Horton Hears a Who is by far my favorite of the four that we've got. When pressed, I will admit I enjoy The Grinch with Jim Carrey.
I'm an idiot! You're an idiot!
I may or may not watch it every Christmas. Don't judge me, I don't judge you.
You're an idiot!
And I think we can all agree that The Cat in the Hat was an abomination, and the Lorax was... I mean, it wasn't terrible like The Cat in the Hat, but it wasn't completely as entertaining as Horton or The Grinch. Now, there are many reasons why this movie is just a as opposed to great. And in fact, many videos describe this in greater detail on why this is. One of my favorites was actually done by the Nostalgia Critic, so I've left the video link down below so that you can watch it. It is quite humorous as well as very thought-provoking. As I said in the beginning, I want to concentrate on what I believe is the single biggest missed point of the movie and why the movie just doesn't quite work. And that is the music in this musical. Now, I say musical in the same vein that many animated features nowadays are musicals. We have a strong opening number, we have a few character songs, a few Broadway, "This Is How I Feel" songs, and then a big finisher. So in terms of a musical, it's structured pretty well. The big movie machine checks all of the boxes necessary, but the soundtrack is where the movie missed the point. And the part that gets me is that they had the solution sitting in their hand the entire time, and they just didn't use it. And I'm not even talking about using the voice talents that they had to the full extension. Like, they had the two powerhouse singers of Taylor Swift and Zac Efron voice acting two of the major characters, and they don't let them sing. Yeah, they don't. Instead, we have Ed Helms and Danny DeVito. Yes, this Ed Helms and this Danny DeVito singing. And we already know that they're not terrible at singing. I mean, they've done this.
Blasted underworld gets my goat. My dreams are on you, King. Go make them come true. I belong West Virginia, Mountain Mama. Take me home, country road. Take it in there.
So that's not even the real problem here. Yes, part of the problem is that Zac Efron and Taylor Swift aren't singing more, but I want to hone in on specifically one song. And that is the song of How Bad Can I Be? And I want to contrast that song with the demo that they have on the soundtrack of Biggering. So let's talk about How Bad Can I Be? It's helmed by Ed, as he's talking about the moral dilemma one will struggle with once a bit of success finds them. About how they need to overcome the temptation of greed one will feel when they are presented with the ease of exploiting the environment for corporate growth and corruption. about dealing with the minor consequences of profiting from a non-renewable resource, or at least exploiting the renewable resource to such an extent that it no longer becomes renewable or sustainable. Well, I mean, this is when you look far deeper into the song than just taking it for face value. On the surface, it's really just a question of, is it really that bad if this is just the nature of me? Yeah, it really is that bad. And that bad being that bad for the song. This song is bad. It's a bad song. Now, I could list off all the reasons why this song is horrendous and backstabs the actual moral storyline, and it just doesn't really do much for me. But instead of really critiquing it on its own, let's bring in Biggering to show what this song could have been. And I also kind of want to preface this that this is kind of an unpopular opinion of mine. I've looked at a number of reviews of this album, and it turns out most people agree with the producers by taking out Biggering and putting in How Bad Can I Be. A lot of people love How Bad Can I Be and don't really feel all that warm to Biggering. So let me lay down why I believe Biggering needs to be given a second chance. Biggering's main point is that this biggering, or rather corporate growth and destruction of the environment, is a slippery slope. Once it occurs, it just feeds upon itself and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. This can be applied to any corporate growth within an isolated system. And in fact, this concept has already been done before. Muse did a fantastic job with showing us this the same year this came out with The Second Law.
An economy based on endless growth is...
Now, the major leg up Biggering has over How Bad Can I Be is that it engages the Lorax into the conversation. He's the one calling the Once-ler out on what he's doing. He's the one saying a corporation that's fixed on Biggering is unsustainable. That's one of the crucial things that How Bad Can I Be was missing. In the movie, it shows the Lorax pathetically attempting to stop and reason with the Once-ler, but getting nowhere, being pushed aside by the song. Is this really the point the filmmakers want to put down in the song about the Lorax warning? How Bad Can I Be continually asks, how bad can this be when it comes so easy? It's just my nature, and thus nature in generally. It's shifting the blame away from the perpetrator of the action. It's not my fault. It's just how nature intended it. Humans are inherently evil, and thus we're off the hook for doing anything bad. It then goes on to say that money is the ultimate goal. Thus, it's in your nature to destroy for profit, grow for more money, and you're off the hook for polluting and abusing the environment as long as you're making money to stay on top of the hill. And the more money you make gives way for more growth, which makes more money, which gives way to more growth, which creates a very positive loop. It's not bad. You're stimulating the economy. This is a good thing. How can this be bad? Well, we've already covered this. Muse, take it away.
New energy cannot be created, and high-grade energy is being destroyed. An economy based on endless growth is unsustainable.
And that's the point that's never addressed in the song. It asks, how bad can it be, without really saying this. This is how bad it could be. That's left for... well, it's not even really left for another song. It's all cut out. We just see the fallout. And, I mean, they've already explained how great their life is in Thneedville within the opening track. So really, yeah, the music is asking, how bad could it be? Now, let's take a look at Biggering. The message is pretty much the same, but it's far more tangible. We now have the Once-ler admitting that he never really needed all of this. All he wanted was a small house, a modest income, and enough to get by. But now he realizes that this slippery slope of money, power, and growth is actually a pretty good thing. But we now have the retort of how bad can it be? The Lorax shows up and calling him out, saying that he's greedy. And greed, like Biggering, is a positive loop. The more you feed greed, the more hungry it gets, and the more it needs to feed. And the ingenious part of this is that the Lorax is telling him straight up, you're right. It's not greed's fault that you're acting this way. You can argue away greed with nature as it is a natural state. What really is your problem is pride. Pride is the real reason why this is happening. It's the worm that digs itself into you and won't let go. From here, you have control over your actions. Greed may be your nature, but pride is a social construct that can be worked past. Here is where the Lorax is saying, you can either choose to stroke your own pride and grow your own company that's destroying the trees, or you can make enough to live comfortably in your cottage with a renewable resource. This shows the morality of the situation that was left to the side of how bad can I be. It literally shows you this. This is how bad you can be. Both songs tackle the concept of corporate Darwinism, where the survival of the fittest takes place. You either outgrow your competition or you get consumed by them. Both use the line, there's a principle in nature called survival of the fittest, and you're either the one eating or being eaten. Which actually isn't survival of the fittest. Survival of the fittest just say that the attributes that fit within the environment are those that flourish within that environment, so you guys need to read a little bit more on that. Let's get back to Biggering. The Once-ler is using survival of the fittest to explain why he's growing the company to such an aggressive extent, saying if we don't grow, the competition is going to come after us, so we need to grow to a point of being untouchable. Beyond the way of themes and messages are being told, there's also a subtlety to Biggering that isn't found within How Bad Can I Be? At the end of Biggering, this is when we get the lines, the customers are buying, the money's multiplying, the PR is lying, and the lawyers are denying. Who cares if some things are dying? Now this line is also in How Bad Can I Be, but it's straight in your face at the ending of the song. There's no getting away from it. Each one is spoken slowly, and there's a pause after and between each of these to let that line sink in. It also really shows the transition of the Once-ler as he's addressing some of the fallouts of Biggering, such as the PRs are lying, the lawyers are denying, being a necessity evil to the corporate machine. Yes, it's happening, but let's not draw attention to it. Let's concentrate on how much more money I'm making and how well we're stimulating the economy. Also, and this might be the biggest thing, in How Bad Can I Be, the line is, who cares if a few trees are dying? But in Biggering, it's, who cares if some things are dying? Saying it's not just the trees that are dying, it's the animals who call their trees home. It's the environment that depends on these trees for nutrients, soil, air. Ultimately, it's us. But in How Bad Can I Be? Yeah, it's just the trees, don't worry about it. Now here's the last thing I want to touch on before I get into kind of the meat of this video, and that is, this song is actually the Once-ler's transformation or transition. Up to this point in the film, the Once-ler has been idealistic and just some guy looking to make his way in life. He's been friendly to the animals and the environment, and was happy with just being in his little cottage. But now things are starting to take off. This is the point in which he embraces his company's Biggering and reaping the benefits of being uber successful. Damn all the costs. With Biggering, there's a bit of a struggle with the moral dilemma, if only between the Once-ler and the Lorax. And the Lorax is calling him out on this transition, saying that his pride is getting out of control, and he needs to restrain on cutting down the trees. Sure, the Once-ler ignores all this, but at least the point is being made. In How Bad Can I Be, there's no mention of a dilemma or a consequence. It's just, I'm bad, and this is nature taking its course. I'm a pawn who is just benefiting from the circumstances that I've created.
Shake that bottom line.
In sum, How Bad Can I Be is just an easy song, whereas Biggering challenges you. Okay, so now on to the major advantage of why Biggering is superior, in my opinion, to How Bad Can I Be. And that is the actual music that's found. How Bad Can I Really Be is just a terrible pop rock song of the day. It starts off with a bland guitar riff that, spoilers, is just the best part of the song because at least this part is catchy and it's not beating you over the head 1,000 times. I also love the fact that the Once-ler is a musician and he's constantly playing his guitar, and it's that strum that he has, that meaty hook, that really drives the song forward. But the hook is very quickly worn out as it's the only thing that's found within this song. The song moves straight into the chorus. There's no build up, there's no warning, just straight into it with, how bad can I be? I'm just doing what comes naturally. And that chorus is so annoying. Holding on to that splits up whatever the groove that it had going for it within the intro. And the singing style is a rap style to boot. We all know Ed is a good singer. Why is he trying to rap? We now have this to look forward to in every chorus.
How bad can I be? I'm just building the economy.
And the verses aren't all better either. It just follows the same underlining note found within the chorus. Even the bridge, it's just a waste. The only good thing is how they added some dramatic effect with the synths at the end to build up some tension. But even that is not enough to save the song. But now let's turn to Biggering. This song opens similarly with just a guitar, but instead of an overly produced sound, we have a clean electric drum. It's cleaner and yet somehow less produced. It mirrors the message of, I don't need all this stuff. A small cottage was all I really needed. This song then builds with the metaphor. I need a bigger desk. The drums come in. I need a bigger office and a hat and chairs. We have the bass line. We have the chorus singers. In effect, the song is biggering with the lyrics and the Once-ler. When the Lorax finally comes in, the song shifts and changes. The guitars are gone and it's just the bass line with the chorus singers, a synth, and drums to keep everything in tow. All of this is padding, saying the star here is the Lorax. He's the main instrument. Pay attention to his words. And as he sing-talks, the song grows in octaves, rising up in scales, biggering in its own effect. When he starts talking about his main point about pride, that climb stops and we reach our first plateau. This puts him on a musical soapbox, building momentum and continuing with his big point about pride. The guitar only comes in when he's talking about pride, signaling that the Once-ler, who we can guess is playing the guitar, is at least listening to this point. This makes for a beautiful musical piece, with the music showing us the emotional state of our characters and what's at stake here. The song shifts to a great bridge, and we're back once again to the Once-ler's theme as he begins the song again. Revisiting this part after the Lorax's big plea with the Once-ler is so powerful, as you can feel the Once-ler ignoring the Lorax and continuing with his main point of how bad can I be with the survival of the fittest argument. This took up the whole song of how bad can I be, and yet it's only one part of biggering. The whole song is really rocking at this point, with the bass line very similar to a Decembrance's song, The Island, and all the instruments are coming in and surrounding it. Once again, we have that chorus with we must keep biggering as the song builds and builds and builds upon itself, becoming that destructive power that the Once-ler has become. Until finally we find the downfall with that final guitar wail just cutting it all out. And woo boy, it is powerful. Far more powerful than how bad can I be. So in sum, this is actually quite an interesting metaphor for the overall reason why the movie didn't work for me. And let me end on this note. How bad can I be is set in a major chord, whereas biggering is set in a minor chord. And when you're presenting the idea of the consequences of destroying the environment for financial gain, do you really want it being painted in a positive note or in a negative note? And on that note, thank you guys so much for watching. I had a blast really diving into this. This has been something that's been on my mind for a while now, and I just needed to get it out, so thank you for providing me the platform to do so. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are always the best. And until next time, notes out.